Please don't skip. I was ignored, talked over, and slowly replaced at work until I quietly took my power back. They ignored me in meetings, gave my work to someone else, and expected me to smile through it. I didn't notice it at first. The way people started interrupting me more. The way my ideas got ignored until a man repeated them. The way I slowly stopped being included. It didn't happen all at once. It never does. I used to be the reliable one. The one who stayed late without complaining. The one who fixed problems no one else wanted to deal with. The one who said, yeah, I'll handle it, even when I was already overwhelmed. I thought that's how you grow. Be useful. Be consistent. Be patient. I was wrong. It started with meetings. I noticed I wasn't being invited to some of them. At first, I assumed it was an oversight. So I asked my manager, oh, it was just a quick discussion, nothing major. But somehow, those nothing major meetings kept leading to decisions that directly affected my work. Then came the part that really got under my skin. I'd be in meetings, speaking, explaining something I had worked on for days, and someone would interrupt me. Most of the time, it was one coworker. Let's call him Ryan. I'd say, so the main issue here is, and he'd jump in. Yeah, what she means is. What she means. Like I wasn't fully capable of finishing my own sentence. And the worst part? People listened to him more than they listened to me. One day I presented an idea I was actually proud of. I had done the research, thought it through, even practiced how I'd explain it. I finished speaking. Silence. My manager nodded and moved on like it was nothing. I felt stupid for even trying. 10 minutes later, Ryan said basically the same thing, not even as clearly. And suddenly, that's a great idea. We should explore that. Let's build on this. I remember sitting there, forcing a neutral expression, while something inside me just dropped. That was the moment I realized it wasn't about my work. It was about how they saw me. Then things got worse. They hired someone new. No one told me directly. I found out by overhearing a conversation. He'll be supporting her role. Supporting. That word didn't last long. Within weeks, he started taking over the important parts of my job. Client interactions, key responsibilities, decision-making tasks. Meanwhile, I was left with routine work, the kind that doesn't get noticed, the kind that doesn't lead anywhere. I finally asked my manager directly, is there something I need to improve? He said, no, you're doing fine. We just want to try different approaches. Different approaches. I went home that day and just sat on my bed, staring at nothing. Because deep down, I knew what that meant. They didn't see me as someone worth investing in anymore. And that's when something changed in me. Not loudly, not emotionally, just quietly. I stopped trying to prove myself. The next day, I did my job. Only my job. No extra effort, no overextending, no fixing other people's mess. If something wasn't assigned to me, I didn't touch it. At the same time, I started focusing on something else. Getting out. I updated my resume. Started applying to roles I used to think I wasn't qualified enough for. Took courses at night. Reached out to people I hadn't spoken to in years. I didn't tell anyone at work. They didn't deserve to know. A few weeks later, things started slipping. Processes I used to manage smoothly started having issues. Tasks took longer. Communication broke down. Ryan came up to me one day. Hey, can you help me with that thing you used to handle? I looked at him calmly and said, I think that's been reassigned. He hesitated. Yeah, but you know it better. I'm sure you'll figure it out. And I went back to my work. For the first time, I wasn't the one adjusting. They were. My manager called me in not long after. Some things aren't running as smoothly. Do you know why? I kept my voice steady. Those were part of my responsibilities earlier. He didn't respond right away. And that silence said everything. Then came the turning point. After multiple applications and interviews, I got an offer. Better salary, better role. And during the interviews, people actually listened to me when I spoke. They asked questions. They valued my input. I wasn't being talked over. I wasn't being dismissed. I was being respected. I accepted immediately. The day I resigned, my manager suddenly had time. We didn't realize you were unhappy. I looked at him and said, I wasn't unhappy. I just wasn't valued. He asked if there was anything they could do to make me stay. That almost made me laugh. Because now I mattered? I shook my head. I've already made my decision. My last week felt completely different. People included me again. listened more. Even Ryan stopped interrupting me. Funny how that works. On my last day, I packed my things quietly. No big goodbye, no drama. Just a quiet sense of closure. And one clear thought. I didn't lose my place there. I outgrew it. What I learned. If you constantly have to fight to be heard, you're in the wrong room. The right place won't make you shrink. They thought losing me was no big deal. Until everything started falling apart. I thought leaving that job would be the end of the story. It wasn't. It was just the part where I finally chose myself. My first week at the new job felt strange. No one interrupted me. No one spoke over me. When I shared an idea, people actually paused, listened, and asked questions. At one point, I even stopped mid-sentence because I thought someone would cut me off. They didn't. Go on, my manager said. I almost forgot what I was saying. That's how used I had become to being dismissed. Meanwhile, I tried not to think about my old workplace. Out of sight, out of mind, right? That worked for about 2 weeks. Then I got a message. From someone I didn't expect. Ryan. Hey, quick question. Do you remember how that reporting system you built works? I stared at the message for a good 10 seconds. Not because I didn't know the answer, but because of the irony. This was the same person who used to talk over me in meetings, like I barely understood my own work. I replied politely. Hi, I think that documentation should be in the shared drive. He replied almost instantly. Yeah, we checked. It's not very clear. Of course it wasn't, because I was the one who used to explain it. I kept it short. I'm sure someone on the team can figure it out. No stepping in. That chapter was closed. A few days later, I heard from someone else. An old teammate I was still on good terms with. We got on a call, caught up a bit, and then she said, things are not great here. I didn't act surprised. Yeah? She sighed. Since you left, a lot of things have been falling apart. Apparently the new guy who replaced me wasn't as ready as they thought. He could handle basic tasks. But the bigger picture, the systems, the shortcuts, the way everything connected, that was never written down, because it lived in my head. Deadlines were getting missed. Clients were getting frustrated. Internal confusion was becoming normal. And suddenly, all those small things I used to handle, they weren't small anymore. Then came the part that almost made me laugh. My old manager asked about me, more than once. According to my teammate, he said things like, we didn't realize how much she was handling, and maybe we should have involved her more. Maybe. A week later, I got an email from my old manager. Subject line, quick catch-up. I already knew what it was about. Still, I opened it. He wrote something along the lines of, we've been facing some challenges and wanted to get your input on a few things. Get my input. Now? I sat there for a moment, just staring at the screen. A year ago, I would have jumped at this. I would have felt important, needed, valued, but now I felt nothing. Just distance. I replied the next day, kept it professional, short. I'm doing well, thank you. I'm currently focused on my new role, so I won't be able to assist. Wishing you all the best. No attitude, just a boundary. The weirdest part, I didn't feel the need to prove anything anymore. Not to them, not to anyone. Because in my new job, I wasn't fighting to be heard. I already was. I wasn't trying to hold everything together alone. I was part of a team that actually worked with me. Looking back, I realized something important. They didn't suddenly start valuing me after I left. They just finally felt the impact of not having me. And those are two very different things. What part 1 taught me was to walk away. What part 2 taught me was to never go back just because they finally notice your worth. Sometimes the real win isn't making them regret losing you. It's reaching a point where their regret doesn't matter anymore. If you want, I can also write a part 3 with an even bigger twist, like them offering you a higher position or something unexpected happening. Perfect. Let's close this properly, with a strong, satisfying part 3, something that feels like a real ending, not just continuation. Part 3, they tried to bring me back, but I wasn't the same person anymore. I thought ignoring their email would be the end of it. It wasn't. A week after I sent that polite I can't help reply, I got another message. This time, it wasn't casual. It was serious. From my old manager again. There's something important I'd like to discuss. I already knew. This wasn't about input anymore. This was about damage control. For a moment, I considered ignoring it. But then I thought, why not? Not because I wanted to go back, but because I wanted to see how far things had gone. So I agreed to a short call, 15 minutes. That's all I gave them. When the call started, the tone was completely different. No rush, no dismissiveness, just careful. After a bit of small talk, he got straight to the point. We've been struggling since you left. There it was, finally said out loud. He continued, a lot of things you handled weren't fully documented, and it's been difficult to keep things running smoothly. I stayed quiet. Let him speak. Then came the part I wasn't expecting. We'd like you to come back. Just like that. No build-up. No hesitation. I almost smiled. Not because it was funny, but because of how predictable it felt. He quickly added, we can offer you a higher position, better salary, more responsibility. And of course, you'd have a bigger voice in decisions. Now I had to say something. So I asked, what changed? There was a pause, long enough to say everything. Then he said, I think we underestimated your impact. Underestimated. That word did a lot of heavy lifting. I leaned back in my chair, thinking about everything. The meetings where I was talked over, the ideas that were ignored, the slow replacement, the silence when I asked if I was doing something wrong. And now, a better title, better pay, a bigger voice, all the things I needed before I broke. I could have said yes. A part of me, the old version of me, would have, because it sounded like validation, like I had finally won. But then I realized something. If I went back, I wouldn't actually be winning. I'd just be returning to a place that only valued me after losing me. So I answered honestly and calmly. But I'm not interested in coming back. Silence. He sounded surprised. Can I ask why? I took a second before answering. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because I wanted to say it right. Because I had to leave for you to see my value. Another pause. And I'd rather be somewhere that sees it while I'm still there. That was it. No anger, no long explanation, just the truth. He didn't push after that. I think he understood. Or maybe he just didn't have anything left to say. We ended the call politely, professional as always. But when I hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt before. Not relief, not satisfaction, something quieter, stronger, closure. That conversation wasn't about them anymore. It was about me. About who I had become. The version of me who stayed quiet and overworked, hoping to be noticed. She would have gone back. She would have accepted the offer. She would have believed things would be different. But I'm not her anymore. Now I work in a place where I don't have to shrink to fit in. Where I don't have to repeat myself to be heard. Where my ideas don't need someone else's voice to be taken seriously. And the best part? I didn't have to fight for it. I just had to stop staying where I wasn't respected. Never go back to a place that only sees your value in your absence. Because the real glow-up isn't them realizing what they lost. It's you realizing you were never meant to stay. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more real story.